$18,000 a year, $9 an hour, though you stopped saying the hourly number out loud months ago. The gas gauge sits on empty in the passenger seat of Tyler's car, because your own car sold in March. Tyler laughs at something on his phone. You do the math instead. You always do. Somewhere between here and $1 million a year, something happens to people that nobody explains ahead of time. It has a name. We call it the quiet position. And if you climb through every level of income without understanding it, the money will arrive and change nothing about how trapped you feel. Stay through all 9 levels, because the moment everything shifts for you isn't the level you think, and by the end, you'll know exactly which number on this list is lying to you right now. Level 1, $18,000 a year. You work at a warehouse 11 minutes from the apartment you share with Tyler, and the schedule changes every week depending on what the app decides you're worth that day. Your rent autopay bounces by $4 on a Tuesday, and the notification finds you mid-shift, scanning boxes that will retail for more than you make in a day. You don't panic. Panic costs energy you don't have spare. You transfer $4 from an account that has $19 left in it and keep scanning. Tyler buys new sneakers that week. Financing. 4 payments, 0 interest, he tells you. Like the math changes because someone gave it a friendlier name. You don't say anything. You stopped being the friend who does the math out loud, because doing it out loud never once changed his answer. You eat the same 6 meals on rotation, not because you like them, because you know exactly what they cost, and knowing is the only control you have left. Your shoes are splitting at the seam near the little toe, and you've decided they have 1 more month in them, the way you decide a lot of things now, by negotiating with objects instead of replacing them. The warehouse floor is cold through the sole in December, and you notice it every shift, and you never mention it to anyone, because mentioning it means someone offers to help, and help at this level always comes with a conversation you don't want to have. At $18,000, you don't manage money. You manage what money leaves behind. Level 2. $31,000 a year. The promotion feels bigger than the number actually is, but it's the first raise that lets you sign a lease with your own name on it, alone. 1 bedroom. A door that locks, and behind it, silence that belongs entirely to you. You didn't know silence could feel like an asset until you owned some. You still check your account before you check your phone in the morning. Old habit. But the number stops making your chest tighten every time you look. It just sits there, present, quiet. Tyler moves into a bigger place too, one he can't quite afford, and starts talking about a truck he's just looking at. You've heard that sentence become a driveway before. You say nothing again. You've learned that silence isn't avoidance. Sometimes it's just math you're not required to share. You buy a real winter coat that year. Off-season, half price, and you keep touching the sleeve for the first week like it might not be real. It's a small thing. Nobody notices it but you. That's the part nobody tells you about this level, how much of the progress is invisible to everyone, except the person living it. At $31,000, silence starts sounding like safety, and it isn't the same thing yet, but it's close enough that you stop arguing with it. If you've recognized yourself in one of these levels already, that's not an accident. Drop the number in the comments. I read those. Level 3, $46,000 a year. You're average now, and average was supposed to feel like a rival. It doesn't. You did everything on the list. Degree, steady job, direct deposit every 2 weeks, and somehow doing everything right just feels like doing everything the same as everyone else. You find out, by accident, that a coworker doing the same job in a different department makes $71,000. Same hours, same building, different number. You can't unknow it once you know it. The gap isn't just $25,000. It's a different apartment, a different car, a different kind of exhale at the end of the month. You start running your own numbers forward, the way you never used to. $46,000 for 30 more years, same raises, same lane. The projection survives. It doesn't inspire. You scroll through old photos one night, the apartment with Tyler, the warehouse badge, the coat you were so proud of, and you don't feel nostalgic. You feel something closer to vertigo, the sense that you climbed a long way and the view from here just shows you how much further the ladder actually goes. At $46,000, you finally see both directions on the ladder at once, and neither direction is comfortable. Level 4. $68,000 a year. Something shifts, and it isn't in the bank account. It's in your mornings. You wake up, and money isn't the first thought anymore. It's present, but it's stopped leading. You move into a 2-bedroom, and the second room becomes an office instead of storage for things you meant to sell. You book a flight without waiting for the fare to drop. Small things. They feel enormous to the version of you that once transferred $4 mid-shift. Tyler asks to borrow $600 that month. You give it to him without doing the math out loud, because for the first time, doing the math doesn't take anything from you. He says thank you in a way that carries more weight than the amount does. You notice the distance between you two before you decide to name it. You start sleeping through the night, without the 3 a.m. math session that used to visit uninvited. Your body notices before your mind gives it credit. Less tension in the jaw, fewer nights replaying the same subtraction. Nobody puts a dollar figure on rest, but you'd pay for this part again in a heartbeat. At $68,000, money stops shouting, and that's exactly when you start hearing yourself. If this is the kind of breakdown that actually helps you see where you stand, a like helps it reach someone still stuck at level 1, wondering if it ever changes. Level 5, $95,000 a year. Almost 6 figures, and you thought crossing that line would feel like arriving somewhere. It feels like walking into a bigger room, with more doors you didn't know were there. Taxes take more than you budgeted for. In some cities, this number is survival money, wearing a nicer jacket. You stop volunteering what you make. Not out of pride, out of protection. Once people know the number, they develop opinions about it faster than you develop the number itself. Relatives call more. A former coworker pitches you an investment he doesn't understand either. You realize the hunger that got you here was the engine the whole time, and now that you're close to the number you used to chase, the engine idles, and you're not sure what's supposed to replace it. Your mother mentions the number to a neighbor, proud, not realizing you never told her the exact figure, only the rough shape of it. You correct her gently, then let it go, because some conversations aren't worth winning. They're just worth surviving, with the relationship intact. At $95,000, the number you chased for years becomes a number you're just holding, and holding it feels nothing like wanting it did. Here's the part almost nobody says out loud. None of the levels you just heard were really about income. They were about a pressure that has nothing to do with how much you actually make. The pressure to look like you're further along than you are. At every single level, from the warehouse floor to the corner office. That pressure doesn't come from you. It comes from a culture that sells the appearance of arrival as if it were the arrival itself, and it charges the exact same premium whether you're making $18,000 or $200,000. The quiet position is simply the decision to stop paying that premium at whatever level you're standing on right now. Level 6, $130,000 a year. The changes are visible now, not dramatic, just visible. Better apartment, newer car, a vacation that isn't a long weekend pretending to be one. But the real shift is social, not material. You stop relating to conversations about money problems, not because you don't care, because you genuinely forgot the texture of that stress. Tyler calls, not to borrow this time, just to talk. And somewhere in the conversation you realize you're translating your own life into smaller words so he doesn't feel the gap. You don't do it to protect him. You do it because the full version of your week doesn't fit in a conversation with someone still living at level 2. You take the vacation you mentioned, an actual week, not a long weekend borrowing the name. And on the 3rd day you notice you haven't checked your phone for work in over 24 hours. It scares you a little, how easy that was. It scares you more that it took this long to feel possible. At $130,000, you stop talking about money and start living in the space where fewer people can follow you there. Level 7, $210,000 a year. Different world, different vocabulary. You talk about tax positioning, not tax refunds. Your accountant costs more than your first car did. The people around you now earn similar numbers, not because you sought them out, but because rooms sort themselves by income, whether anyone admits it. You stop explaining your life to people outside this altitude. Not arrogance. Translation loss. When you mention your tax situation to someone at level 3, you watch their face, do the exact thing your face used to do, listening to someone above you. You understand both sides of that look now, which somehow makes it lonelier, not less. You go to a dinner where nobody glances at the check when it arrives, and you realize halfway through the meal that this used to be the entire plot of an evening for you, the private arithmetic of who orders what and who quietly skips dessert. Here, the check is just paper. Nobody performs restraint, because nobody needs to. At $210,000, the room gets smaller, and the silence inside it gets louder. If you're not subscribed yet, this is usually the point where people mean to and forget, right in the middle of the part that actually matters. Level 8, $400,000 a year. Money goes quiet. You stop checking prices. You stop checking your balance out of habit, because habit assumed scarcity, and scarcity isn't the variable anymore. Time is. Every decision gets measured in hours now, not dollars. What costs you time? What buys it back? Your vocabulary changes again. Estate structuring, deferred compensation, words that would have meant nothing to the version of you scanning boxes for $18,000 a year. You didn't study these words. The money required them, the way learning a new country's language stops being optional once you live there. The isolation is real, and it isn't loneliness exactly. It's distance. From struggle. From the version of you that once knew the exact price of 6 rotating meals, down to the cent. You hire someone to handle the parts of your week you used to handle alone, and the first month feels like betrayal, like you're cheating at a game you used to be proud of playing solo. By the 3rd month, you understand it isn't cheating. It's the exact same math you used to run at $18,000, just pointed in the other direction. Then, every dollar bought survival. Now, every hour bought back is survival of a different kind. At $400,000, money goes quiet, and everything else gets measured in time instead. Level 9, $1 million a year. You don't say the number out loud. Nobody at this level does. It lives in documents and wire confirmations and conversations with lawyers billed in 6-minute increments. You walk into rooms where decisions get made, not because anyone recognizes your face, but because your judgment is useful to the people already sitting there. The distance from $18,000 is permanent now, not just financial. You remember the warehouse, the $4 bounce, the sneakers Tyler financed that year. You remember it the way you remember a country you used to live in as a kid. Familiar. Not yours anymore exactly, but the reason you understand the ones still living there. Tyler sends a text out of nowhere, a photo of the old apartment building, torn down now for something newer. You stare at it longer than you expect to. You don't feel superior. You feel oddly grateful, the way you'd feel toward a hard teacher years after the class ended, someone who never once made it easy, and somehow that turned out to be the entire point. At $1 million, you finally understand what the quiet position actually was. It was never the money. It was never needing anyone to see it in the first place. If you want the version of this that runs on net worth instead of income, say so in the comments. That might be the next one. Somewhere right now, someone is standing at a self-checkout with $18,000 a year and a rent notification they haven't opened yet. Their roommate is laughing at something on his phone 2 feet away. They think this is about the paycheck. It isn't. It's about the distance between who they are right now and who they get to become, one quiet level at a time. They don't know yet that the version of them at $95,000 will stop announcing what they make. They don't know the version at $130,000 will start translating their own life into smaller words. so nobody feels the gap. They definitely don't know that the version of them standing at $1 million will look back at this exact moment, this exact self-checkout, and feel something closer to gratitude than shame. 9 levels from here, they'll understand what you already do. The number was never the point, the quiet was.